All right, guys, if you are familiar with dumpers or site dumpers, there's something absolutely brand new coming to the market. Manny, how are you, buddy?
Great, Stanley. How are you?
Doing good. So, Manny, you're standing in front of one of Mecalac's old site dumpers.
Correct.
And this is the industry standard. This is what almost everybody in the industry is doing. But you have a new machine that is nothing like this one. Is that right?
100%.
Okay, so but walk me through what everybody else is doing, and then let's take a look at the new one.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So what you find in a standard dumper, or site dumper as we like to call them,
Yep.
is an articulation joint,
Okay.
open drops, or closed cab they offered as well.
Okay.
But that is pretty much the standard normal.
Okay. Now your new machine doesn't articulate.
It does not.
Okay, so right here we have the brand new Revo Truck 9, and behind it we have a Revo Truck 6.
Correct, sir.
Tell me about the design of this.
Well, it's a rigid frame with up to 20 degree of axle oscillation in the middle.
Okay.
Right? So it's 10 degrees left, 10 degrees right. And that allows you allows for the machine to be able to go into uneven terrains while utilizing a rigid frame design.
But that rigid frame design makes it more stable. Is that correct?
100%.
Because if you guys are familiar with the payloader, if you've ever had a load on the front and then you've went to turn, your machine becomes very unstable very fast.
Correct.
Are site dumpers any different in that instability? So they suffer from the same thing that payloader suffer
1,000%.
from. So you've made the frame rigid.
Correct.
To balance the load right over the center mass of the machine at all times?
Correct. We keep the center balance on the center of the machine.
Okay. But typically a rigid framed piece of equipment does not have as good of a turning radius. And if my understanding is correct, these site dumpers are really designed for tight work zones.
Correct.
So how are you tackling that issue?
We tackle that by offering the four-wheel steer system, the crab steer, and also front steer.
Okay, so this will four-wheel steer.
Yes, sir.
So when you need super tight turning radius,
Yes, sir.
four-wheel steer.
Yes, sir.
It'll crab steer, so if you get yourself bound up and
Correct.
you're in an area where you're trying to work and there's traffic everywhere and you can't get in and out like you normally could, you hit a button and she'll crab walk out.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Switch the steering function,
Okay.
and that automatically tells the axles which way to move.
And then you have typical steering like you have anything else.
That's correct.
But wait, there's more, because this is not all of the features that is new on this piece of equipment.
Absolutely.
There's something special with the cab.
This cab spins 225 degrees. We're the first manufacturer to design that.
I thought some of the other site dumpers had cabs that spun.
No, there's one or two competitions that have a closed cab where you think of the backhoe seating position,
Yeah.
where the actual seat itself turns 180. That's what you see.
So the entire cab doesn't rotate? So
Nope.
So the operator, the machine's always aiming forward on the other machines while the operator is working in reverse.
Correct.
With this one, the operator and his controls all stay with him at all times.
Yes, they do.
I would imagine that would make it easier to run, more efficient, because if your operator's always facing his controls, he's always looking at his work, or can always look at his work without readjusting, that's going to make him more productive during the day. That's my 2 cents.
That's 100% correct.
So you have your control panel right there.
I do.
So that is basically your operator station, and that always stays with you. Can we go for a spin?
We definitely can.
All right.
You'll see it stops all by itself,
Okay.
and then it allows for an additional.
Oh, that makes sense. Clever. Those Frenchies are clever.
100%. And I can show you the skip and how you can better than anyone, safer than anyone. And when you're done, hold down, and she will automatically go back to her position. So you can be driving while your skip is going back into its original position, saving you time.
Oh, so you don't, like with my dump trucks, I got to lower the PTO down, I've got to do it, and I can do that while I'm driving, but while I'm driving, I'm hitting all of the buttons to make sure that the gates are closed, the PTO goes down, the PTO shuts off. You're telling me this just will automatically reset everything for you?
There she goes. Let go, and I could be driving. And when the machine spins to 180 degrees,
Yeah.
the steering function and the drive function changes with the cab spin. So there's nothing else you need to do to the machine with the exception of engaging
Wait
the
a
gear
minute, wait a
and
minute.
drive.
So what Manny is saying is if you can imagine turning your cab around and you'd have to turn your thinking around to be able to turn left is right and right is left, that no longer applies?
No longer applies.
What kind of freaking witchcraft did you do to make that happen, Manny? What else are we looking at, though? Because I know Mecalac has a number of things that is their main priority with these things. So walk me through some of the big things where Mecalac wouldn't compromise on that they've brought in. Because Mecalac was one of the first dumpers to come on the market, weren't they?
That's correct.
So they have the history of coming right down the pipeline. But tell me about some of the main things here, Manny.
Well, let's talk about mobility.
Okay.
Right? Function of the machine going in and out of a job in a workplace. With the four-wheel steer system, we're able to get the machine in and out of a site a lot faster, a lot easier.
Okay.
Right? Safety. When we go to safety, you see beautiful visibility all the way around, 360 degrees of operator visibility. Front and rear cameras as a standard allows the operator to see when he or she is hauling in and out of a project.
Do we always have 3 points of entry? When that cab spins, do you still have your 3 points of contact that we were supposed to have when we're getting in and out of pieces of equipment?
That's correct. And we could show you on the Revo Truck 6, the way I placed it, you can see how even at 225 degree of turn,
Let's go look.
you can get in.
Let's go look.
There you go.
So here, this is our access point and your standard configuration. But right now you're in, does this even have a name? Is this like the reverse configuration, man? What are we looking at with this?
So this configuration would be if you're backfilling a trench and you're able to drive while you're seeing exactly what you're doing on the job site.
So you have the cab configured, so if a guy can imagine this, if you're going forward or backward, you are legitimately aiming straight down at your work zone.
Correct.
No matter what position you're in.
Correct.
That just makes sense.
100%.
Okay, so right now we're driving toward our load.
Right.
Okay.
And now I want to stop and I want to switch. I want to go back to a 0 degree.
Okay.
She will automatically stop. And now forward becomes forward again.
Oh, clever. So your forward and reverse are right there, and it doesn't make a difference what direction you're in, you're going to go the right way. You're going to go what's forward for you.
Forward is backwards, backwards is forwards.
It's always centered on the cab.
It is.
So the cab is always going in the way you think the cab should go. That makes total sense. All right, let's take her for a spin. although the frame does not articulate, the actual axles oscillate, keeping your machine in contact with the ground even over uneven terrain. The 9 is there, the 6 is here, Manny. What is the difference?
Well, the difference is obviously in the size of the machine, the chassis of the machine, the axles, and the skip capacity. Okay. While on the 9, we have just shy of 20,000 pounds of capacity. And then on the 6, we have a capacity of 13,400 pounds, give or take.
Okay. What about the components? I mean, I'm noticing there's a difference in tire size. Is there a difference in frame length? Is there, overall, is it a smaller unit able to get into tighter spaces? Is there a benefit to this over the 9 that some guys may find?
It is. And if obviously you don't need 9 metric tons of skip capacity, then you go for a 6. It's going to give you 13,400 pounds of capacity. A less wider machine than the Revo 9 is, right?
What about the components? I mean, are we talking about the same engine? Are we talking about the same warranties? Everything else the same between them, so a guy's not compromising?
Absolutely. The cab is identical when it comes to the materials. The materials are identical. The engines are identical. They're both displaced at 74.3 horsepower, so we don't have to add any DEF, any of that nonsense that some manufacturers have. Yes, it's definitely a smaller machine.
Okay. So
it doesn't look it, but it is.
That's the main difference then.
It is.
All right. This is a test of the new Revo truck versus the other one for mobility. We've got all these cones laid out. You guys ready? Go for it! Revo's first. Your standard sight dumper is behind. So that Revo truck is in the front, and it has a straight frame, and it should not be nearly as nimble as the typical sight dumper, which articulates. But with that four-wheel steering, it's able to go into places that a normal sight dumper just can't do it. So what we're doing here is we're just showing you how much faster and more productive you're able to get in and out of places with that new sight dumper versus the old system that is still in use by a lot of companies out there today. The Revo truck was able to make 3 runs through the obstacle course in just about the same time that your standard sight dumper was able to finally get through the course one time. Let's demonstrate that a little clearer. The first thing we're going to do is take a typical sight dumper and crank it around this end orange cone as tight as we can. And then we're going to follow it up with the Revo truck just to demonstrate how much tighter of a turning radius this new system actually has. The Revo truck is capable of turning inside of the same area that a typical sight dumper just can't possibly handle. Huge difference. You could have made about 3 rounds.
I was just parked there having fun, waiting for him to at least get to the middle point.
But that is the difference between that all-wheel steer capability and the articulation that you're going to experience in a typical sight dumper, right?
Absolutely. Time is money.
And you just demonstrated how much, I mean, it's 3 times faster.
Easy.
Yeah. Alright guys, it's crab walk time. These trucks are designed to work in super tight spaces. So he's gonna crab walk this guy right into the traffic zone. Let's check that out, but from another angle. Okay, so everything is here. Okay. So right here is that return to
That's
skip.
correct. That's
button.
correct.
Okay, okay. And I mean, I was looking at from the inside of this thing. Everything is right here on the control panel.
Everything is touchscreen. It's absolutely fantastic.
Manny, these are in North America now, right?
They are.
What's the warranty like on them?
2 years, 3,000 hours, factory standard warranty.
Okay. What about parts availability?
Usually anywhere from $3.5 million in-house, ready to go.
So you have a central distribution hub right here in Massachusetts.
We do. We do.
And that's where you keep everything. So a guy, if he's down, you got $3 to $3.5 million worth of spare parts.
We do.
But your president has also said, if push comes to shove,
We will.
you would butcher a piece of equipment to make sure somebody else can keep going.
Absolutely, 100%.
That's huge. Is there anything else we want to cover on this thing, Manny?
Call us. Can't wait. Mecalac.com.
Mecalac.com.
Yeah.
That's it. All right, guys, that's it. You've seen the latest, the greatest here. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video and going along for the ride. Thanks, Manny. Appreciate it, buddy.
Stanley.
Always good to hang out. And that's it for this one. God bless, and go get him, you guys. We'll catch you on another video.
God bless.